Well, hello and welcome to another Havoc Sons video. Today, I'm doing some maintenance on my 1982 C70 Passport. Actually, this is not my bike. This bike belongs to my wife. It's currently non-op since 2017, so registration's not a problem. But what I'm really impressed with so far is it's been sitting for about 2 years. You see that Bike Master? That's a gel battery. It's a platinum. Look at that. Put it on the charger. It was yellow all night, came out this morning, and she was green and fully charged. So what am I doing now? Well, I am taking off the fuel tank. As you can see, I took the seat off already, and I took the fuel tank out because those hoses have rotted away. And I'm replacing them with some new ones. And I figure, you know what? Why don't I just have you watch me do this, and let's see if all the fuss about these Honda Passports is true. I already know that it's true, but sitting for 2 years, I'm gonna go ahead and put the new hoses in, fill it up with fuel, and see if she'll start up. Stay tuned, won't you? Well, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take off the cowling. This is an aftermarket cowling. I had an original one, but it was pretty beat up. And about the only difference between this one and the original one is the original one had some fins that went all the way down on both sides. And of course, this one's plastic. The original one was made out of some weird, I forget what they call that stuff. And it was, it's just very brittle. As you can see right here, it's just breaking away. It's just I forget what this stuff is, but not the best for longevity. She doesn't look too bad for sitting for over 2 years, I guess. She has brand new gazelles on it, but I'm not too happy with them because they're already starting to crack in the sidewalls. And I never really kept the air pressure low, so I don't really understand why they're cracking on the sidewalls. They're tube type tires. They're supposed to be the best runners for this bike. I mean, I like the way they wear, I like the way they ride, but I don't understand why the sidewalls are already cracking. The tires are about, they're about 5 years old, maybe older. Maybe, actually, I think they may even be older than that. So that could be the problem. They could be old. I don't have my microphone on, darn it, so this is probably not, it's probably not going to sound all that great. And I need a bigger bolt. Well, I think I can take off the, one more side panel bolt. But I think I'm going to need something bigger for here. Yeah, I am. Really, the cowling on these things, or the fairing, or the windbreak, or whatever you want to call them, probably the most attractive feature on this bike Without it, I mean, the bike really looks bad. So this is a pretty much bone stock 1982 C70 Passport. About the only thing that I changed, as you can see right over there, that mirror and that mirror. The original ones had a black back plating that held the mirror, and they were very delicate and hard to find because when you go to replace them, everyone's got the chrome back mirrors. These mirrors I had, and I just had to get some adapters for them, but they hold up really well, and that's the only thing that's different about this bike. Everything is bone stock, including this gauge, this tachometer, I don't know, instrument panel, instrument cluster. And this bike has 11,852 miles on it. Well, to be honest with you, I don't know. I bought this bike in Mojave Desert from somebody. So I don't know which owner I am. I think he said that he had bought it from someone. So I could be the third owner of this particular bike. My other bike, I'm the third owner of the other bike, but I know the other two people. They're friends of mine in my old town of San Diego, North Park, where I lived. I know the original owner, who his dad bought it for him. And then I know the person he sold it to, who then sold it to me. And that's my other bike. And there's been a lot of modifications on that bike, including I updated the top end. I have videos showing how I did that. So, once you get this off, all the bolts, there's two here, two in the bottom, two up here in the top front. It should just come off like that. Oops. So, the line that is bad to be honest with you, I can't tell now. Yeah, I think it's this one. I think it's that one. So I didn't do anything to winterize this or store it. It's all been just sitting, and pretty much sitting outside too for a while, because I just didn't have the barn that I have now. I mean, now I have that thing that I just built, and there's videos showing how I built that. So I have a place for this bike, but I don't intend to keep it long because I'm giving it to my daughter for Christmas. I'm out in the, I mean, it's very strange. I'm kind of out in the country, a lot of dirt roads, a lot of mountains. Unfortunately, the front of my ranch is adjacent to the only road coming in and out of this valley, which is constantly busy because they have built a private community by the lake over there, so it's full of people. And so this road gets a lot of traffic. So what I'm trying to do now is take off this bottom hose. I bought this on eBay, and you have to be careful because it was a very weak, hose, and what happened is it cracked right at the top here and broke off, and when I went to fill it with fuel to ride it again, it just started pouring out. Not the greatest thing. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to change the way I hold down the hoses from this. I'm going to go back to this, which is what was stock on the Honda hoses, because this is where it broke, right at the end of this. And from what I've heard from people who are just experts at repairing these bikes, if the hose shrink, this does not shrink with it. This will. So it'll keep a tight connection on it. This eventually will come loose and start leaking. So as you can see, I have the pressure, I don't even know what you call these, clamp on that hose, and that's a pretty tight fit. Unfortunately, it's early morning, and we're getting to be winter out here, and it's cold. So expanding this hose to fit around things is not going to be that easy. We'll see what happens. Well, I've disconnected both hoses so that I could get a little bit more length out of this one. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to put this one on, like I said, because of how cold it is. Well, now I've got both hoses connected, but inadvertently I think I've pulled this hose out of my there's a little teeny circle down at the bottom where that hose has got to go through, and it really doesn't give you much room. So basically you're taking the hoses from the tank and you're winding it down the center of the bike, and you're bringing it out this little hole right here. Want me to show you the little hole? All right, hang on here. So it basically winds down through there, and it comes out this little hole. Looks simple, doesn't it? It's not. Okay, something you should always remember when you do this, and I forgot. You must remember which one is your reserve hose and which one is your primary hose, because this little thing, this little fuel gauge has a switch on it that pretty much what you should do is leave it to regular to full all the time. Leave the gauge on full. When you run out of gas, you put it to reserve. That gives you about, I don't know, 5-10 miles to get home. You got to make sure that you know which one is which. I got a 50% chance of guessing correctly because I didn't mark them. Well, actually, I didn't think about this, but with the power of video editing, I was able to see which one was the reserve hose, and it's the one on the bottom. Okay, I don't know if you can see, reserve hose is installed. Now let's put in the primary, which I think is too big. It's too long, I mean. So I'm gonna have to trim it down. Yeah, I would say that's just a little bit too long. Let me trim that down. If I was smart, I would have left a little bit of extra hose in the tank so that when I go to pull it out next time, I have enough room. Okay, both hoses are installed. Once you got that done, next thing you want to put on, well, first thing you want to put on is the tank. They usually require these 2 long bolts. No washers, no lock washers. There's already a washer with a rubber pad on it. That's pretty much the seat. You don't really want to lock it down yet. Because you have to do the 2 back bolts. And these 2 have lock washers. Get that all nice and lined up. And then bolt it in. Now, I have never gone through this bike all the way. When I bought it, it was stock and it was running fine. So I've never done anything to this. I haven't even adjusted the valves yet. I did do an oil change right when I bought it. But it was running so good that I didn't think I needed to adjust the valves. And I think it's still running good. So I don't know. We'll see. Let's see when I start it. See how it runs. If I have to. It's electronic ignition, so there's no timing to speak of. Okay. Tank's in. Seats on. Now the fairing. And the fairing is so much easier to take off than it is to put on. It's usually those two bolts right there, that one and the one on the other side. They're not that fun. This is what they look like. I'm going to spare you the gory details. Oh, I found these on the bottom. You would think that just putting these bolts in make it easy, but no. You got to make sure that these are in before you put in these. It's fun. So you don't want to tighten these down all the way until you get... Now see, I didn't even get this one in. Great. So once you get that one in sort of tight, you want to put these on. And believe me, these two and these two are the most difficult because you really just don't know where you're at with any of these. Sometimes you get lucky, like this one seems to have gone right in. Especially with these plastic cowlings, because they bend and warp and you have no idea if they even line up. I find the most difficult one to put in is this collar. Mostly because you've got to push it way down in order for the fairing to fit correctly. I'm surprised how easy it was this time, because I remember how I struggled with this the last time I did this. So basically there's 6 bolts that hold the fairing on. These two you do not want to bolt on too tight because they go right into the block. And that's an aluminum head. Okay, the fairing is all bolted on, so now I'm gonna put on the plates, side panels. This is usually where you're supposed to put your toolbox. Okay, give me a second. This is an aftermarket and it's junk. Okay, that side panel is put in and it was hard to do. As a matter of fact, I had to paint it. As you can tell, I didn't plastic primer it, so the paint's coming off. Something else I have to do. When I bought this bike, it didn't have a side cover. It didn't have a side I think it had the battery cover on this bike, but it didn't have the side plate, so I had to buy that one. And I got that on eBay. And pretty much you're taking chances when you buy stuff on eBay. I don't know how well this is going to turn out because I'm filming directly into the sun. You can see I got a green light, so the battery came up. Very proud of this Bike Master Platinum. Good battery. Sitting for 2 years, completely dead. Put it on the charger. And it came back. Yeah, I believe this battery cover is original to this bike. Boy, a lot of crackle and pop before it comes all the way in. Okay, that's pretty much it. Here it is, 1982. All original, all stock, except of course for the mirrors, and I forgot the fairings, which by the way, these fairings break apart. They're just horrible. I don't know if I should have, if there's a cover for that side. I don't think there is. There's definitely a cover for this side. She needs a bath, but she should be all ready to go. So what I like to do when the bike's been sitting as long as this one is I like to fill it with a little bit of premix. I just feel that it's easier on the top end because a 4-stroke has so many moving parts that need lubrication, and everything is dripped down, and this is where you get a lot of the wear. I'll tell you, for a country, that road just kind of ruins everything. Anyway, oh, and because of the aftermarket, I think I have a plaque for this, but I don't remember where I put it. I lost it in the move, and they want $1 million for those. So let me go get some premix fuel, and let's see if she'll start on that. Well, I put just a little bit of premix in, and the first thing I notice is the hoses are okay, and I don't even know what that thing is called. The thing to switch from reserve to full, it's fine. But the carburetor, it's overflowing. The flow pump is stuck. So let me give it a few kicks, see if it stops. Well, it looks like the fuel has stopped overflowing, but that switch from reserve to full is leaking now. And I got that from eBay, from China, so of course it's leaking. So that gasket inside is probably rotted. Who knows what kind of rubber they use, but I'm gonna try to start it anyway. Here's a nice sign of an original bike. One key for the ignition switch and for the front fork locks, it's hard to say, and for the helmet lock. One key fits all. All right, let's see what we got. She's been a good runner all her life. We got a neutral light. Left turn, right turn, horn. Let's see what happens. Let's give her some choke. Oh my gosh. Throttle cable stuck. I mean, it will not move. I should not have put the cowling back on before I checked this. I never even checked. It is completely stuck. I think it's stuck in the idle position. Boy, I felt it pop a little bit. Stop it. Yep, all I'm doing is running the battery down. She's got a beautiful charge. So, I have to take the cowling off. And looks like I'm going to have to take the carburetor apart. It shouldn't have sat with fuel in it, but as you can see, it's leaking. So I'm going to have to rebuild the carb. That will be in part 2, because this video's already gone 30 minutes. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and a better life. And remember, do more of what makes you happy. You know, I read something recently from a Facebook friend who said that doing things that make you happy may not always be good for you. Well, when I say do more of what makes you happy, of course I'm saying do legal things, do things that are good for you, do things that will enrich your life. Don't do things that make you happy that are stupid. That's not what I meant. Okay. See you in part 2 of this fiasco.